Hello, and welcome to my AGU 2020 oral session. My name is Dr. Ted Neal, and I'm happy that you found your way to this presentation. For the past 30 years, the University of Iowa has been teaching a field-based geology lab course for teachers in Crested Butte, Colorado. However, 2020 brought a new reality when the coronavirus pandemic altered our plans for the summer course. We were left to scramble as several students still needed a lab-based science course for graduation. So we stepped up and developed an online field-based lab course centered on the amazing geology of Iowa. This presentation will tell you our story, how and what we built, and share the feedback from our students regarding the course. I hope you enjoy this presentation, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have. Our first step in the field experience was organizing our students around the philosophy of the course that bends towards the nature of science. We used a book bits activity, providing them some of a story to help them understand that geology doesn't have all the pieces and the story changes as more material is discovered. The image in the background is a sample of how that orienting activity can be done with students. In an abundance of safety, we were restricted from taking students into the field, but we were not stopped from bringing the field to the students. To that end, drones, GoPros, iPhones, rock hammers, and Jeeps were used as we ventured out into the field to collect rock samples and footage of 6 different locations around eastern Iowa. Our goal was for teachers to grasp the major concept of the seas go in and the seas go out. Why this concept, you ask? Because next door to the University of Iowa is the city of Coralville. Funny name for a city in the middle of the Midwest. We needed our students to sample material from across geologic time in the form of rock samples, which we set up in rock boxes and mailed to our students. Students were then given a geologic map of the state of Iowa with the locations of the field course marked on the map so students knew where we would be going during this field experience. Here you'll see some of the drone footage of one of the locations down near Keokuk, Iowa, where we wanted to give the students a bird's eye view of all of the locations in the field. So this is an example of the kind of videography we were able to put together for our students using some of the technology that was available to us via the drones and the drone programs that exist. In this particular location, we were able to show students some of the creeks and some of the area surrounding geodes, and where geodes are found in southeast Iowa near the city of Keokuk. For those who are unfamiliar with the state of Iowa, geodes are our state rock found in this region. They're very prevalent. We actually use geodes in all of our courses as a tool to get students and kids and teachers interested in geology. We use a science of Archimedes' principle to determine buoyancy, using buoyancy to determine how hollow or solid a geode is. So this is just some footage of an area where we go. We take our students here when we can, but in this particular case, we went and collected our own geodes from this particular site. As with all of the sites, we felt that it was important for students to actually physically see us collecting the rock samples that they would eventually be getting in their rock boxes from this class. So here you can see my colleague, Professor John Duncase, collecting some of the geodes along this small stream down near Keokuk, Iowa. Again, we felt it was important that kids could see this in action, what they would be getting during the semester. As you can see here, John's walking along the creek bed here, picking up the geodes. We like to have the limestone rocking on the left there to talk to our students about some of that sedimentary geology that's going on in this particular region. What the students would see next is us actually talking to them about what's going on in the field. So we'll share a small snippet here of John and I discussing these rocks out in the field and what the students would be getting for their personal information regarding these samples. Here's a nice one in the natural environment.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, look at that guy.
So Ted, how do you know if they're going to be hollow inside?
Well, you just kind of guess, don't you? I mean, it's only a couple hundred million years old. It's never been opened, so we can either guess or we can do science. So I think we should do some science and weigh how much it is in the air and how much it is in the water, and we know how much the density of quartz is, and that's what's inside of it. So that will tell us how hollow it is. So we'll have to get a scale, do a little math, then open it up. So we'll put this one in the bucket.
That's a keeper, huh?
That's a keeper. Here you can see some of the sample material that we were able to bring back to distribute amongst our students. We would take the materials, use some whiteout, mark them, and build a key to explain which of the locations each of the rocks came from. Students would then receive a bag that included hydrochloric acid, a hand lens, a map of the state of Iowa, all of their rock samples, and these would all be found inside of a rock box. Here you can see what our rock box looks like with all of the samples that the students would receive as they worked through the field course. So now you've seen a sample of how we collected the rocks, some of the footage that we collected for our students that they would use when they received their rock boxes. What we want to show you now is how our students reported out their understandings of a location in their own words, and how we walked them through their understanding of the geology once they had received their rocks, done a little analysis, they've watched the videos, they've read some readings about each area, and this is the kind of feedback that we get from our students.
So the big thing about Wyoming Hill, as we know from figuring out what the rocks were 2 weeks ago, was that our place had coal. And so we kind of figured out, as John was talking about, how Iowa was a coastal swamp. And so through Wyoming Hill, you see it's a little coal belt. It's no bigger than, what I'm holding up now. It's real thin all the way across, but it's super cool, and it just flakes off real easy.
And this is, if I'm not mistaken, please correct my pronunciation, bituminous coal? Is that how you pronounce that, Ted?
Yep.
Okay.
Bituminous.
Bituminous, okay. It's not a high quality coal. There's much higher quality if you move towards Illinois and of course in the Appalachian area. We talk a little bit about that in our history. So there is like a fairly rich coal mining history in Iowa.
Sounds like a road trip, boss.
Sounds like a road trip to me, yeah.
So what do you got here, Riley? What are these?
So this was the coolest one that my roommate and I found. It's got, like, up in the top right side of the screen, it's got a little looks like a leaf with the striations in it, and then on the top, just thick black line. I don't know if that was part of a trunk or stem of something,
Looks
or
like
if it was part of the leaf. In the middle, it looks like a little viney, little thin plant with little leaves. And then I believe this is like a really old cattail type species that would have been growing out of the swamp. But this was by far the coolest one. We broke it off, and it was just covered in these fossils.
That's cool.
Nice, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the power of going out to these sites, is you can hunt and peck around and find drones. These are so fragile.
Yeah.
John and I tried to get one sent to you, but we have no idea if they survived, mailing to get to you or not. We certainly couldn't get anything this cool to survive getting mailed to you. Cool. All right, anything else you guys want to add into this? Here you can see a sample of a completed rock box that our students would have constructed during this course. This is a tool that they can use in their future classrooms and really helps to bring the local geology to life for our students. They find the Rockbox exit interview a really unique opportunity, a chance for them to share what they've understood, what they've learned, what questions they still have. The students report that this is one of their favorite parts of the course, being assessed on their individual knowledge, being challenged to questions of their individual ability level, but also having a chance to help them figure out exactly what's going on with the geology of their local area. You've seen the Rockbox exit interviews where students were able to demonstrate their knowledge and understanding. It's important that we share a few other parts to the story. First of all, when students gave their initial presentations about a site, we had them partner up in teams. This was done so they would gain some confidence in the geology and the workings of the course. Upon the completion of that, students would then search out a location in their own backyard, be it in Illinois or Iowa, Minnesota, wherever it was they were calling home. What students would do is they would go out into the field, collect their own video using their phones or drones or whatever source they wanted, collect some rock samples from that area, go out and do some additional research from the internet and other resources, and then present to the whole group what they found and what they discovered about the geology of their backyards. Students found this to be a very compelling part of the experience. Several students walked around their own personal properties or their family properties. They enjoyed exploring the areas around and then sharing what they had found with the group. In addition to that, we also used a textbook, well, kind of a textbook. We used a John McPhee book where it was a story about a geologist going out with an archaeologist and exploring an area, and the students were able to grasp the geology as told through stories using that book. And finally, students were given opportunities to Zoom with instructors throughout the course to help them with their understandings, in addition to the weekly course Zoom meetings where we discussed the actual samples that we looked at for that individual week. Finally, I'll share with you the feedback from our students and what they felt about the course. Finally, to assess the value of this course, I looked to my students. The students came back with extremely positive feedback for this course. They said that the course was very interactive. They became very interested in the rocks and the rock formations, that they even talked to their family and friends about the rocks that they had been learning about. They felt that they adapted this course to an online state of the world with COVID in a very well thought out manner. The students overall felt that this course, taught with the tools and techniques that we shared with you today, was a great way to get students and their future students engaged in geology. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I look forward to receiving any questions you may have and helping to explain in more detail how we actually worked all of the small minutiae out in this course. It was a fantastic opportunity to bring the real world, the amazing world of geology into the classroom using the tools and techniques of the 21st century based upon learning theories, pedagogical theories, and the nature of science. I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. Wishing you all the best of luck. Stay safe.